Igor Stravinsky composed his Concerto in D for string orchestra in 1946. He composed it to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Basel Chamber Orchestra. It was commissioned for them by Paul Zacher, a Swiss magnate who was responsible for commissioning many great works of the 20th century. The Concerto in D comes from that period in Stravinsky's music that we call the neoclassical period, like the Dumbarton Oaks Concerto, the Ebony Concerto. I always think that we should really call this the neo-Baroque period in Stravinsky's music. After all, it began with his ballet Pulcinella based on the Baroque music, supposedly by Pergolesi. Certainly in all these concerti, he's modeling on the concerto grosso form of Baroque music, which is to say that we have a number of soloists. It's not a single soloist like a violin concerto, but it's a small group of soloists within the orchestra. In the Concerto in D for strings, it's the first chair players in the string orchestra who play against the whole ensemble, but it's really quite a subtle form of contrast, like you might find in a Handel Concerto Grosso. The outer movements of this piece have that kind of the incisive rhythms, the really kind of prickly, nervous feel that we think of with this period of Stravinsky's music. The first movement has a central section that suddenly goes very slow, like it's in slow motion, and for me, it sounds like he's thinking back to ballet. Of course, Stravinsky's music was often set to dance by many choreographers, and this central section feels like a pas de deux. The middle movement is quite different from the outer movements. It's called arioso, and it's really quite an extended melody for strings. It could almost be a melody by Prokofiev that is one of these quasi-tonal, lush, romantic melodies. Now, Jerome Robbins choreographed this piece, the Concerto in D, and titled it The Cage. Why the cage? Well, my suspicion is that Robbins, knowing Stravinsky personally, knew that Stravinsky was reaching the end of this neoclassical or neo-Baroque period in his music. He was really feeling the limitations of tonality. Very soon after this, he would be writing atonal works. And perhaps Robbins thought of the piece as something like a cage for the composer. But I really don't think that the listener today is going to perceive it that way. It's got such a freedom of expression. Stravinsky's music always developed so organically. And such a sense of physical gesture. Again, Stravinsky, the quintessential dance composer. Throughout, we feel, whether it's in the slow or the fast music, that we can see dancers moving. It's really got an exquisite freedom for something that you might call a cage.